Thank you for tuning into Sydology 101. I'm your host, Sydney Robinson. We'll get into the challenges of the dental industry, empower leaders to inspire their teams, and foster collaboration between office team members and practice owners. Together, we'll find creative solutions to get shit done.
Thank you, Sid. So marketing is tough. It's challenging from both sides. It's challenging from a marketer's perspective. It's challenging from a DSO practice owner's perspective because there's a lot of crap out there, right? Anybody can basically hang a shingle and say, I took a weekend course and now I know how to do social media posting. So now I'm a digital dental marketing agency because dentists have deep pockets and I'm going to see if I can learn on the job.
Dentists don't know anything about marketing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Give us kind of your idea of how you spot a good, legitimate dental marketing agency, how you vet them out, and what sorts of things should you make sure that they're delivering to you to make sure that you are getting a realistic or a good return on investment for your marketing dollar.
Sure. This is something actually that I'm really passionate about. I actually started my own business called No Regrets Marketing, No Regrets, because of this. So I didn't intentionally set out to own a business. I had business owners call me and say, you know what? I don't feel like this is right. Can you tell me if this is right? Can you just come in and take a look and tell me what I'm doing and what I'm spending my money on? And is this a wise investment or not? Because you don't have a lot of cash. So you can't just throw $10,000 out the window and be like, hope it works, right? And that's what was happening. And so I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. And so I started doing that and it just led me down this path, which is amazing. It's been super fun. The first thing I would tell you all is every marketing agency or marketing company or marketing partner has a niche, has something they're really good at. Make sure that strategy that they have aligns to what your business objectives are. So what I mean by that is some agencies are tremendous at design, right? And they can make something sexy till the day is long, make it look really good, packaged really well. Performance takes a second seat to that. That's okay if that's what you're looking for. And some practices, some DSOs, I'm so big, I don't need that, I just want sex appeal. That's great. For us at CMOshare, we are focused on performance first. And that doesn't mean that we don't make sure that we have quality and the design looks good and all of those things. But we're going to lead those things through performance first. So let me tell you an example of what that looks like. If somebody came to us at one of our practices, which this has happened, can I put videos, background videos on every page of my site because everyone's doing it. It looks so great. We should definitely get that done. Our recommendation then would be absolutely not. Let's talk about why you want to do that and solve in a different way. Because you should know that if 10% of your web traffic is new patients, too much of that is going to slow down your website, which means you're going to lose organic traffic and you're going to lose traffic to your website. You don't want that to happen, right? And so let's talk about how we solve for what you actually want to do in a way that doesn't impact your operations and your marketing and your performance of your practice. So first of all, just make sure that whatever their strategy is and their niches matches what you want to achieve as a practice. Then ask them for the data, ask them for the testimonials, ask them for the proof in the pudding that they actually can serve up what they're telling you they can. And if they can't provide that or you're still, I'm not unsure, ask them if you can talk to a couple of their current practices or clients. If they're really proud of and feel confident in the work they do, there should be no problem in handing you to somebody else and saying, yeah, call this practice down the street that we work with and see what we've done for them and then come back if you feel satisfied.
I love it. I love it. Are you guys utilizing AI to track the effectiveness of the different marketing campaigns that you're creating for your clients?
We use AI for our marketing, some of our marketing campaigns. Now, depending on what you want to do, there's a difference, right, between, that's a whole thing I could get into. So I won't do that because I know we want to get to other things. But we do use AI in tracking. We are building out some AI tools on the back ends of our products as well, proprietary AI. So our own AI tools that will be introduced into our products. And you have so much data at your fingertips in a practice from the marketing Google platforms, which you should all have access to, your voice data, all of your operational data. You bring all that together and your opportunities, you start to read the data, it just tells you where you have opportunities and gaps.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Mary. Thank you.
Yeah,
great answer.
You're welcome.
All right, round three. Everybody stand up for a second. I'm going to try something with you guys. You know what's cool?
You do a little stretch.
If you guys have never done this sort of thing, we can see you up here. So if you're nodding off or you're on your phone, we can actually see you. You know when somebody's picking their nose in their car and you're like, I can see you. I can see you. You guys are fading a little bit. I understand. This is a long period of time. We've been sitting in a very dimly lit, warm room. Cozy. Everybody's getting a little tired. So I'm going to deploy a little bit of a strategy that I use to try to get people re-engaged when I'm talking for long periods of time. We're going to do box breathing. Has anybody ever done a box breath? Okay, this is something that the Special Forces utilizes when, say, you're in a cold body of water for a long period of time, or you're in a very stressful situation like a gunfight or something. Box breathing decreases the stress, decreases the epinephrine, decreases the cortisol in your system, and it's very simple. You're going to take count of four, you're going to inhale, you're going to hold it for 4, you're going to exhale for 4, and you're going to hold it for 4. That's a box, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're all going to do it with you together, and we're going to be fresh as daisies as soon as we're done with this for another 3 hours of this panel, okay? All right, so here we go. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. And inhale. Big one. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. And hold it. 2, 3, 4. Have a seat. And the person that just walked in is, what have I walked into? All righty. So, like I promised, only another 20 minutes or so. So here we go. Round 3. The topic of this round, key levers for DSO growth and efficiency. So the first one, we're going to start with you, Mary. What should DSO marketing leaders leverage for business growth?
I love this. So 3 things. Quality of conversation, super important. Make sure your conversation is quality and it's the conversation folks want to hear. 2, your data. I just went through all your Google data, your operational data, patient acquisition, cancellations, all of that, and your phone data. Those 2 things are really important. Thirdly, you're going to want to make sure that your operations are maximized and your marketing is maximized. So I know that leads to the question, how do I make sure my marketing is maximized? Exactly. So 5 things that I would tell you every practice should be doing from a marketing perspective. Number 1, you need to have a website and it needs to be good. You need to have the conversation on that website. You need to have it set up the way that people want to interact with you in the conversation they're looking for. You have about 5 seconds for them to see the conversation they want to have. And if they don't see it, they're gone. If they do see it, you've got about 3 to 5 minutes to convert them to a new patient. So make sure that flow in your user experience is what it needs to be. And it changes. So make sure somebody is on top of what those changes are as well. Number 2 is SEO, which now also involves regenerative search. It's all kind of one thing, right? AI, local search. All of those are really important. Voice search also throw into that bucket. So it's not just organic search ranking in Google anymore. It's the multitude of all of these things from an organic and a local search perspective that you really need to be paying attention to. Third is some sort of paid ad. We like to use Google paid ads. Google paid ads work really well for certain services and certain messages. And I won't go into that now, but if you want to catch me later, I certainly can. Ads are really important because your website's going to sit there, it's going to drive organic traffic, but ads are going to drive direct traffic, right? So again, the data point I keep saying is 10% of web traffic is new patients, 8 to 10% of phone calls that are answered are also new patients. And so ads are going to drive more phone calls. Paid advertising is also going to increase your organic by about 20%. So it's a win-win situation. So those 3 things. 4th, know your market landscape. How saturated are you? How many dental practices are around you? How hard is it going to be for you to get noticed? At the same time, who are the people that are visiting your dental office? Are they low income? Are they retirees? Are they fee for service? Are they family? If you don't know that, you're not going to know what conversation they want to have on your website. So it's really important, especially from a local perspective, Dental offices, usually like a 10-mile radius. Who are those people? And if you're looking to grow, go outside of that. Okay, so this community over here I want to get into. Let me dive in and see what that demographic looks like, and then I'm going to expand my footprint. And the fifth thing I would tell you, if you don't have online scheduling, get online scheduling. Online scheduling increases conversions 20 to 40%. Incredible, because people want speed. They want to be able to just schedule an appointment. The other thing with online scheduling is a lot of people will look at the schedule online and then call you. So every person that hits online scheduling and doesn't schedule online, for every 2, someone's going to call you and schedule an appointment. So online scheduling does more than just the online scheduling. It also hits the phone conversions. So those would be the 5 things I would say. Make sure you're doing those 5 things, then check the data, and the data will tell you where you have opportunities to do more.
Awesome. Good stuff,
Yeah.
Mary. We're constantly talking about the kind of friction between operations and marketing. And I think that a lot of times you'll hear dental practice owners, front desk people say, I'm moving on to another marketing company because clearly it's not working. We're not getting any more new patients, and I just don't think that they're effective. And you ask a series of questions, and you find out that this is their 6th one this year. They keep on bouncing from company to company, and you don't have to ask that many questions before you can get to the root of the matter. It's like, how are your operations? What do you mean by that? What is your call answer rate? What's your call miss rate percentage? What's your call answer rate percentage? Do you have some sort of AI that's actually grading the incoming phone calls? Is everybody at the front desk aware of the marketing campaigns that are happening? And many times you'll find out that the operations are inadequate, but the marketing is. A lot of times you can turn it on its head and say, all right, now we know that the operations are tight. We have some sort of an AI system that is grading all the incoming phone calls. We are at 90% answer rate. We have some sort of a answering system or call center that's answering the phones even during the after hours and weekends. Operations tight, no new patients. That might be the opportunity to start looking for a new marketing company. You have to look at both sides. You have to look at the effectiveness of the marketing campaigns matched with the effectiveness of the operations within the dental office. And a lot of times you got one without the other, or sometimes you're missing both.
I have a fabulous story that was told to me by Ryan at one of our events. So Ryan was like, we're like, how's everything going? How's business? He's, oh my gosh, these dentists, you wouldn't believe it. I was like, what's going on? He's, I'm getting a hard time that my marketing's not working. And I'm like, what do you mean it's not working? So he's looking at the data and they're like, we're not getting any new patients. And he's, oh, like how many do you have? He's, oh, maybe we had 45 new patients. And he's like, how many do you want? He's 60. He's, how many blocks do you have to schedule? He's 45. He's, because my call data showed you were getting so many new patient calls and you were booking up, but you didn't add time in your calendar to see new patients. And he's like sitting there, he's like pounding the table. He's, this is my job. He's like, I just had to remind him to just open up the schedule because it was limiting their ability to schedule new patients. And so the data, his phone call data was like, no, you're definitely seeing an increase. This is working. However, the operations side, you did not communicate this to your team and your schedule won't allow new patients. So you're booking further out. And so we were sitting there. And of course, Ryan is one of the most funniest individuals. So he's just has us rolling. And we're like, this is great. But that is like a prime example of something like that where
That's actually the first thing we do when we get a call and they say, and the call is, I'm not getting enough new patients, is we go on and check their online schedule. This is the first thing, because if you don't have any availability, you can't get new patients. And most new patients, 75% of new patients want to schedule within 10 days or less, right? And you all probably know that, but if you don't have the availability on your schedule or you don't have an option of how to bring them in, then you're going to suffer. So data can tell you a lot. We can tell practices if they need to expand. You're at capacity. So you're so far out and you're answering all your phone calls. Everything looks great. You're at capacity. You need another location or you need to expand your practice. There's so many things when you bring the data together that really can help you run your practice a lot better without any of that guesswork. So, yeah.
So the scheduling capacity is a good one, but I want to add to, I go into the practices and same story like Ryan, hey, we're not getting a lot of new patients. Ask the same questions. What are their new patient goals? But on the flip side, the team members thought they thought they were just soaring. They thought they were just meeting those goals because they thought that they were supposed to get 30 new patients, but the goal was, I think it was 75 new patients. And so I had asked one of the team members, I said, do you know what the goal is? And she goes, 30. And no, it wasn't 30. And so they would stop at 30 and they thought they were doing good. So it also goes back to just communicating. I don't know how many of you guys are executive levels or you're the actual owners of these DSOs or how many of you guys are in the day-to-day operations. It is imperative that your team members know what these goals are. And then even in addition to that, I don't know anything that Mary does. Everything that she just mentioned, I have no idea. So I sat down, I don't know if you remember this, I sat down with you and Ryan and I said, I created this agenda so that we can ask the right questions to our marketers. So before we even get to, if Mark came to me and was like, Sydney, we're not getting new patients. And that has happened to us before where he's come to me and I'm like, I don't know anything. I didn't know the call volume. I didn't know how many actual calls we're getting. In my mind, I'm like, I'm answering my calls. What are you talking about? But I didn't know. And I also didn't know that when you're looking at your conversions, how many new patient calls did we actually get? Again, in my mind, every call, nailed it. But no, we may have got 50 new calls, but we may have only converted 20. A lot of those things go back to asking the right questions, but get your team members involved in this so they feel vested. Because as a team member myself, before I even became an office manager, if my doc came to me and said, Sydney, you have to increase case acceptance. What are you talking about, dude? Did you not just see me close that $10,000 case? I nailed it. In my mind, I'm doing great, but data doesn't lie. Your numbers doesn't lie. Your numbers will show you whether or not you're doing great. And it wasn't until I met Mr. Mark here that he taught me, hey, this is how you know you're killing it. This is how you know there's some areas of opportunity. So even in the marketing, if this is going over your head, like before I met Mary and Ryan, it did, then how can we make sure that we're asking the right questions for if your practice owners or your marks come to you and say, okay, we're not converting new patients or we're not getting our existing patients scheduled, then how do I know whatever my marketer CMO is doing is actually working? Those are some things that we do have inside of our network that you can we want to help each individual with this.
Ashlee, I want to change gears a little bit, talk about staff turnover. That is a thing that a lot of small to mid-sized to large DSOs deal with. So specifically, it's a major issue, as we know. What innovative strategies have you seen work best for keeping teams engaged, motivated, and committed to staying with the company for a long term?
I think the biggest one that we touched on earlier is that creating the growth pathways. Obviously, like we have all been in almost every position within your organizations, but there were pathways for us to be elevated, to cultivate curiosity in as well. And this was something we had to get good at too. We thought, well, this is the job and they should just do these things and they'll be good at it. Yeah, but if there's no passion there and if it's not what they want to do, it's never going to get there. So it's about putting the right people in the right places and then giving them a pathway to be elevated. Some other things that we may or may not have learned the hard way and sound really simple are like praising in public and critiquing in private. I know sometimes it's challenging to do, but just taking the time to pull someone aside gently to train them and give them that feedback can really make a difference. And then one that, again, seems simple, but it's setting clear expectations and making sure they understood it. Because you might be like, hey, I set that expectation. I know exactly what I said, and this is exactly what I mean. That may not be how it is interpreted. And so making sure that it's clearly defined and that they understand it. So it's not just, hey, these are the expectations. It's how do you understand it? How are we going to get there?
Yeah, I love to have people repeat what I just said, or what is your understanding of what success looks like for your position?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those are my three big ones. Okay, also I have to go back to the box breathing. If you take nothing away from this thing, box breathing is the absolute best tool. And I have to say, so my favorite pastime is I off-road in my 4Runner. I have a 4Runner that I'm obsessed with. And I was on the side of a cliff It's 200 feet down in this Forerunner, and the wall was starting to crumble, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I utilized some box breathing. I'm like, if snipers can do this and can control their heart rate, I need this right now, and I swear it helped. So if you're ever in a stressful situation, highly recommend implementing a few little box breaths. It really pays off.
I love it. Good stuff. It's worth noting that Indeed did a study, and 60% of people leave their positions not because of financial reasons, which is very interesting. Typically it comes down to culture and lack of upward mobility opportunities. So if you are supporting somebody and you believe that they are worth investing in and you want them around for the long haul, somebody that started as a personal assistant ends up as a COO and a president within a 9-figure now organization, those are the sorts of things that you have to keep in mind. Somebody can start as a sterile tech and potentially be an office manager and then maybe the COO of a multi-practice group. We see it happen all the time. But it comes down to the amount of support that you give them and a clear path to what's next and what is possible if they hit certain benchmarks within your expectations. So, did you have something?
Oh, yeah. So to that point, we have now in every part of our organization, whether it's the dental practices or within DSI, DSN, each position has a tiered structure as far as this is how you can make this much money. You need to learn these things. You need to be implementing these strategies. You need to have learned these skills. And they also, what impact does this role have on the business? Because that also applies to the salary range. Implementing a tiered system has been really game-changing.
Yeah, from its simplest level, if you guys have ever sat in a room and said, the world went around the sun again, so it's been 365 days, where's my $5 raise? And you look back at somebody and say, what have you done to improve, your existence? How can you prove to me that you're worth another $5 per hour? If you have very structured, tiered expectations for what you're looking for, then those conversations go away. You become a $25 assistant or a $95 hygienist nowadays if you hit these certain benchmarks. And you're very clear about what those benchmarks look like. A tier 1, you're able to do this. You're able to scan the entire mouth, do an FMX in 3 minutes. You can scan a finished crown prep in 2 minutes. Whatever those parameters are, you do those on the regular, then we can start talking about that $5 raise. It has nothing, it's meritocracy. It has nothing to do with the number of times that the earth goes around the sun. Okay? You might be able to do it in 6 months. It might take somebody else 4 years or never. So that's how we look at whether or not you're worthy for moving up in an organization or getting a financial bump. Okay, this one comes to you. What are the critical factors to consider when forming strategic partnerships in the DSO landscape?
Yeah, so we're emerging as it is. One of the top things, and this is crucial at any level, is practice fit and cultural alignment. It is probably the number one thing that we look for outside of the financials and the data, demographic, all of that. Because we're looking for, like Sydney said, you can teach somebody the skills. If we are partnering with a practice and they're coming into the DSO, we can teach them our systems, of course. We can teach them the protocols. We can set the systems in place to make sure that we have accountability and consistency across care, et cetera. However, the culture fit piece of that is the doctor. We're really wanting to make sure that they're a good leader. They don't have to be perfect. Their leadership assessment score does not need to be 100%. So we're looking for a blue belt phase 2 practice that has potential, but that is self-improving. Because when we're looking for that partnership, we want somebody that's proactive, that's an implementer, that's doing what they need to do to be successful. And if they're looking to bring in a partner, we want to be a partner. We don't want to have to lift the entire practice. We want to make sure that you're taking good care of your team, that you've had those systems and expectations with your team. So I guess culture and alignment is a huge one for us, in addition to the metrics and making sure that we're doing our due diligence. But the other thing too is growth and expansion potential, making sure that the practice is, like you said, has the 7 ops, has the 2 providers, has 3 hygienists that can scale and grow. And if the provider wants to phase out, that practice is still functioning and still profitable. So when we are looking for those partnerships, we're looking for a lot of things, of course. It's a big commitment, but ultimately culture and the potential of that individual and that doctor is so key. One of the biggest things that we notice is like students for life are great people because they're eager to learn, because the industry and the landscape is changing so quickly that we really need to find those people that are not afraid to change with us, that are willing to grow, that can collaborate. And I guess one other characteristic trait I would say, if we're looking for a specific provider, is an abundance mindset. I know this sounds very soft, but it changes things. It really does. When you have somebody that's got a scarcity mindset, they're not willing to take a risk sometimes. They're not willing to trust a mentor who's been in the industry for a long time because they're afraid. They don't want to give up control, or they have fear about losing money, et cetera, et cetera. Even though you have somebody that's been doing this for so long saying, you would be foolish not to take this opportunity or to do this or implement this system or this tool. I think abundance mindset is crucial as well. So I think when we're vetting practices, we're using all of our tools, leadership assessment, cultural assessment, our belt and phase levels, and those are the things we're looking for when we're thinking about bringing in a partner.
Yeah, so what Kay's talking about when she says a blue belt practice, we categorize the practices within our organization and the ones that we're considering purchasing based on a belt level classification, just like martial arts. So you can be a white belt, a blue belt, a brown belt, or a black belt. And we have different assessments. We have a leadership assessment, a cultural assessment, overhead percentages, EBITDA percentages. Those are the sorts of things that we use in order to determine what phase and belt level you are. So in case saying that there's a blue belt practice, that means they're a mid-level practice, their overhead could use a little bit of work, their systemization could use a little bit of work, the leadership within that dental practice or the culture within that dental practice, we're able to take subjective measures and turn them into objective measures with our different assessments. So when she's talking about a blue belt level practice or above, if they have the ability and the right mindset to elevate to a brown belt and a black belt level practice, that's a great target for us. In addition to the level of EBITDA or the percentage of EBITDA or profitability or overhead that the practice has, which for a lot of DSOs, that's the only thing that they look at. We have a different philosophy when it comes to purchasing practices. We only purchase practices that actually go through our training and become members within our coaching organization. And then currently we have 230 operators, probably 350 practices to choose from. And we pick only from our internal practices. And they are all brown and black belt practices that can run by themselves. So when we purchase them, we just say, you run your show. The reason that we picked you in the first place is because what we know you can do, because we've known you for 12 to 24 months. We're going to purchase you. We don't need regional managers for that region. These are practices that manage themselves. We don't need regional kind of concentration because we don't need a regional manager in each regional concentrated area. They're spread all across the country, and that is because we pick them the right way. It's a totally different philosophy. Not a lot of other DSOs do that. And we had to sell that to the private equity people that were giving us the money to purchase practices because nobody's ever done it this way before. Everybody is all about regional concentration, purchasing maybe fixer-upper practices, getting a regional manager in there, and then a great office manager to turn a white belt practice into a blue belt practice. I don't want to put lipstick on a pig. I want to buy a pretty pig that doesn't need a bunch of lipstick. So that is just our philosophy. I digress. Okay. All natural. Organically pretty pigs. All right, Sydney, we have 2 more questions. One's going to go to you, one's going to go to Mary, and then we'll open it up to any questions if you guys have any. Sydney, when implementing new systems, compensation models, or growth strategies, often resistance is common, and you see this as a traveling consultant. You can walk into a break room, and I was once a traveling consultant. And you can walk into a break room and you get this and the frown and you're like, this is going to be a long freaking day. Because that team is not coachable and they're not open to what we have to say. So the first thing we have to do is overcome that attitude and we have to overcome that energy. And if you're just not willing to work with that sort of energy, then you're never going to succeed in consulting. But when you see resistance like that, how do you overcome that and how are you able to develop those types of practices into well-run organizations?
That's a really beautiful question. How many of you guys are in the day-to-day operations? Okay, so I'm talking to y'all. So we're sitting in our morning huddle and someone's dozing off or looking at their phone, or you're talking about, let's go back to what I said. I'm just going to be vulnerable myself. Mary's talking about the new patient. Mark just said, Sydney, hey, we need to fill the schedule. How many of your team members' eyes glaze over? And then you're like, Sydney, pay attention. That's what it feels like as a stranger coming into your office and wanting to help support your team members. And the biggest thing that I see, first thing first, is confidence. If Mark comes to me and say, hey, Sid, we want to convert to this new software. Or I just came from this amazing conference, it's Women in DSO, and they talked about having an operation manual. Let's create an operation manual. And everybody just folds their arm and look at you like, girl, stop. Who has time for that? It's really that confidence in the how, the why. Why do we want to do this? So I find that when we see resistance, it's because we may or may not, I'm not going to talk for everybody, but we have these great expectations and these things that we want to do, but we stop at the actual task of it. And we don't give them the how, the why. We don't give them the training that we actually need to execute it. So if I want to help support a team, actually, I think she left, but one of my offices is here. One of the hygienists is here.
Oh, great.
And it was actually I was going to talk to her about it because they have, Kay mentioned, systems and non-negotiable. She's a new hire and they did not have a solid hygiene onboarding or hygiene protocol. So as we're discussing it, we were getting a little bit of pushback from other hygienists on this new protocol. And then I just started asking questions. Okay, tell me more about why you would like to go this route. And then I asked the other question. I said, if we were to do this, how would this affect your day? And every single time I asked that question, it always went back to, then I have to go in and I have to take this piece of paper. I have to go in and put the chart notes. Once I do the chart notes, then the code doesn't work. What does that sound like to you guys? It's right. But actually, to me, no, it's not excuses. It's just they don't know how to do it. So if I was to go in, and what if I was able to show you how to put that note in? What if we created an explosion code that every time you did an SRP, we automatically add the laser treatment? Would that solve your problem? Oh, I didn't know that Open Dental can do an explosion code. Oh, girlfriend, let me show you how. Oh my God. And that's essentially how I do that, is I just ask those questions and then we get to vibing and then all of a sudden I just blew their mind. But it's really just trying to find out curiosity. Why is it that we're getting restraint? And then I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning. Having everybody involved. Hey guys, I just came back from this workshop and they talked about KPI tracking and tracking our new patient numbers. What do you guys think about whenever she wants to make sure that we're growing and things like that? How do you guys think that we can actually track our new patients? When I go in and I ask that question, you guys would be surprised at how, especially our thinkers, like our innovators, that we probably haven't given them a voice in the practice. They start to have these amazing ideas and you're like, oh my God, that's a really good idea. And then you just politely guide them in the direction that you want them to go in, or let's try it. Like Mark said, we're throwing spaghetti at the wall and then it's up to us ladies to go in and make it into, I don't cook, so great analogy. I may make some weird meatballs, but you have these people in your practice that can help you with that. So don't just go in and say, oh, I want to put this new strategy or system in place. Hey, I have this great idea. What are you guys' thoughts on if we could increase our case acceptance, if we can increase our new patients? What would that look like? Like, how do you guys think we can do that? And now that we have them involved, now I'm going to go and say, Ashlee, that's a really great idea. I have this spreadsheet. Here's how we can track it. Let's work together. That person is now super giggity about it. I'm going to also say, guys, that hiring the right people. If you are looking at me like, girl, you don't know Susan's going to shut that down no matter how many tricks and tips I have. Is Susan the right person for your practice? I'm gonna let that sit there for a minute and you guys go home and think about it. But that's my response to that.
Poor Susan. Mary, yes, please.
Go ahead.
I was gonna share, Jocko Willink had, at the summit, Mark interviewed Jocko Willink, who wrote Extreme Ownership, and it was an incredible book. But one of the things Because when you said, oh, it sounds like excuses, when he did an analogy similar to that. And of course, I was like, excuses. There's no excuse, of course. And he's like, sure, but a good leader knows that not every objection is an excuse. If you have somebody who's doing this every single day and telling you, here's my issue, or I'm too busy to take on this system, or I can't, they might have objections. And your job as the leader is to say, let's look into that, because they're very likely valid, but very simple to fix. Okay, your bandwidth is maxed out. Why don't we see how we can transition this? Or this isn't really, I can tell this is draining you. This is not a strength of yours, and we keep pushing you into this direction. Why don't we shift? This seems like something that's more up your alley. That's something let's fill this role differently. But I want to touch on that further, because when he talked about that in special ops, and he was like, we don't have excuses. Everything that somebody says might have some weight, and it's our jobs as the leaders and advocates of our teams to give them that voice and give it consideration. Now, it very likely might be an excuse, and you're like, I was in your job a year ago, so I know that's not true. But if that's an issue you're having, how can we fix it? Or one thing that you said too is come with a solution. Yeah, you might have a problem, but also, what do you think what would fix this? Better than me, probably ultimately at this stage. So what do you recommend that would fix this? But I love it, because that's a great way. I'm objecting, I don't want this. Tell me why, let's look into it together. And all of a sudden they're solving their own problem for you. And that's a really great way to get over that hump.
All right, Beth. Good stuff. All right, Mary, you're going to close us out, okay?
Okay.
So you're the cleanup hitter. Okay. So what marketing strategies do you feel that are currently being underutilized in the marketplace that could have potential great impact if people utilize them more?
I think the biggest mistake that people make with marketing is thinking about it as, it's my website, it's my ad campaign, it's my postcard, it's my billboard, it's my radio ad, and not thinking about it as it's the entire experience that they're having with your practice. So it is all those things, but it's also when the patient walks in your door, what is the experience that they have? When the patient leaves between appointments, what is the experience they have? And so I like to break that down into, from a patient experience standpoint, and this comes from my culture and employment branding days, we always talk about the rational side and the emotional side. And if you can optimize both sides of that, you've got a loyal patient. The emotional side is going to be things like, I remembered your kids' names, right? I know that you're very anxious about dental appointments, so let me talk to you about our sedation, or I've put the images on the screen of the TV as you're laid back that are going to help calm you down. I have 2 girls in college, and they just got their wisdom teeth removed a couple years ago, and the doc gave me his personal text. Now, maybe it wasn't actually his phone number, but said, hey, you can text me with any questions you have over the next few days. And I did text him, and he responded right away. That meant the world to me. Like, he cares about my kid, even though he's probably doing 40 wisdom teeth operations in a week or more. So the personal emotional side is really important. And then there's the rational side. That's just, how are folks interacting with your patients? And this is probably where Sid could come in and do some consulting, give better advice than I can. But we find in talking to a lot of dentists that people will call up and say, hey, do you take this insurance? The answer is nope, we don't. We're not in network. Boom, conversation over. Instead of ending the conversation there, let's talk about, actually, we're not in network with Blue Cross Blue Shield, but let me talk to you about our alternative that we offer a lot of folks that is actually a better value than the insurance might offer you, and take you down that road. Or we don't have any open appointments right now, but I know you want to be seen in a week or two. Let me put you on our waiting list. And by the way, that waiting list, those people are usually seen within a week or two. So you'll be in, no problem. We'll get it done. So how do you overcome those objections from the patients and give them the same experience and consistent experience they've seen in your marketing, to the emotional side, to the rational side, and the whole kit and caboodle? So I think that's the biggest mistake, is not thinking large enough about marketing as the entire experience, not just what you might be paying someone to push out the door for you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. That concludes the formal portion of this panel discussion. If anybody has any questions, just yell them out, and we have a few minutes to answer them. If not, we can call it good. Anyone? Yes, sir.
I have a question. Mary, you mentioned putting fees on the websites.
Yes.
What's the percentage you think? I've done a lot of websites. I'm curious. I haven't seen that. Married to a dentist over 20 years.
not as many as it should be.
And I hear this talk a lot. I'm just curious, what's the percentage out there? And I have a follow-up question.
Sure.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh, yes. So the question is, what is the percentage of dental practices that actually are listing their fees on their website? And I would say it's probably about 20 to 25% of practices are actually doing it now. And there's a couple different, we've actually have a couple practices that are now highlighting insurance cost, out-of-pocket cost, and dental savings plan. And then they're highlighting the dental savings plan. So your eye is drawn right to, oh, I should do a dental savings plan because I'm actually going to save more money that way. So now we're seeing practices start to explore, like, how do I drive more people to this, which is great. Yeah.
And then the second part of the question was, you mentioned when they see it on the phone, see it on the website, 1 out of 2 people will call. That's 50%. What's the other person? Why won't the other person call? What is the retention value when they get
We don't have like scientific data on why they're not calling, but a lot of times, more often than not, it's the schedule's not open, or maybe the practice isn't open on a Saturday and they can only do Saturday appointments. It has something to do with what they're seeing on the online schedule as to why they're not calling in. So again, having the conversation, if you're seeing a lot of people hitting that online scheduling and not scheduling, that's a problem. And so we need to look at, like, why is that happening, right? Is your block schedule too full? We can listen to the phone calls. The phone data will tell us what is the opportunity here to overcome that. Yeah, you're welcome.
Great questions. Anybody else? How about this panel? Pretty awesome. When I met Ashlee 13 years ago, I was just putting my first executive team together, and I was like, man, I think lightning just struck. But I'm so fortunate as a person that's run many companies to have experienced lightning striking many times. I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by people that are much smarter than me and that support everything that I do. I want to say thank you. I'm very grateful for you guys, and thank you guys very much for your attention today.
Hey everyone, we're thrilled to announce the launch of our brand new 12-week office manager training course. This course is for office managers and team members, designed specifically for dental practices that want to elevate their leadership, efficiency, and patient experience. Whether you are an existing office manager who is looking to level up your skill or you're new to leadership, this comprehensive course is built to deliver real-world skills and lasting results, y'all. What you can expect is a step-by-step guidance through the core pillars of dental office management, live coaching with myself and my partner, Kendall, practical templates, systems, checklists ready for you guys to use, or we may have to make a few tweaks to it, a supportive community of peers and mentors, and a certificate of completion to celebrate your success. And then a bonus, what you can expect is a complete book packet homework kit, which is going to be super fun because there's a ton of helpful resources inside of that kit that we will mail to you. So I want to take the moment to just let you all know that we have launched this. If you have not gone to foacoaching.com, head over to our website, check out the course, see if this is something for you. This, again, it is 12 weeks, but I have to let people know this is virtual. We can go at your pace. And for all of our listeners, you do get a $200 off when you sign up by using promo code 12week Sydology. So if you are interested in joining this 12-week office manager or team training course, head over to foacoaching.com. Go ahead and apply and get signed up, and we'll get you onboarded. This has been another episode of Sydology 101. Today's episode was sponsored by FOA Coaching. If you would like to find out more about team training or personalized coaching, visit foacoaching.com. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Sydology 101. Until next time, friends.